Have you poured your heart into writing your book only to feel completely lost when it comes to marketing? I'm Stephanie Newell Ross, and today I'm going to show you why most book marketing plans fail, and most importantly, what actually works. So, here's a sobering reality. The average self-published book sells fewer than 100 copies in its lifetime. Not exactly the dream scenario, right? But this isn't because these books are poorly written. Many great books go undiscovered while others with similar content find success. The difference? Effective marketing. In this video, I'm going to show you why traditional book marketing advice often falls flat, the strategic principles that can transform your results, and a simple framework to diagnose exactly where your marketing might be breaking down. What we won't be covering are complicated step-by-step tactics, technical platform details, or any one-size-fits-all solutions, because honestly, those don't exist. I learned this the hard way. When I published my first book, The Buzz, I was running a popular entertainment blog and writing for Unrated magazine. I had an audience that perfectly matched my book's target readers. Sounds like the ideal setup, right? But I didn't tell my audience about my book until after it was published. This wasn't just because I was focused on writing. I simply didn't know any better. I had no idea that people weren't just going to discover and buy my book automatically. I didn't understand that I needed to build anticipation and market well before the release day. After that eye-opening experience, I became determined to understand what successful authors do differently. I studied book marketing obsessively, tried countless strategies, and chronicled my journey on my writing blog. What began as my personal learning experience attracted a following of other authors facing the same challenges. Ironically, by sharing what I was learning about marketing, it inspired me to start posting right here on YouTube. I wasn't just saying buy my book, but I was also showing up consistently and providing value. People could see my passion for the writing and helping others, which led to me genuinely marketing both my books and services, but most importantly, marketing in a way that felt comfortable and authentic to me. Fast forward to today, 16 years and over 15 books later, including an Amazon bestseller, I've helped hundreds of authors navigate the complex world of book marketing, and along the way, I've identified why so many marketing plans fail, and more importantly, what actually works. So, the first and most common reason marketing plans fail is what I call tactics without strategy. I see this all the time. Authors jumping from tactic to tactic without a cohesive plan. One week they're trying Facebook ads, the next they're guest blogging, then they're on TikTok, then they're back to tweaking Amazon keywords. It's exhausting, expensive, and rarely effective. I had a client who came to me after spending over $2,000 on various marketing tactics. She had tried everything: paid newsletter promotions, social media ads. She even hired someone to manage her Goodreads account, but nothing was working. When we looked closer, we realized she was throwing tactics at the wall, hoping something would stick, rather than building a strategic foundation first. The second major failure is copying what others do. It's tempting to look at successful authors in your genre and simply mimic their approach. And I get it. If it worked for them, why shouldn't it work for you? But here's why. What you're seeing is only the visible part of their strategy, not the underlying foundation that makes those tactics actually work. It's like seeing someone succeed at diving and deciding to climb the high dive yourself without learning how to swim first. I remember when Twitter was first popular and feeling like I needed to market my book there. Although I was reluctant, I tried it. And after months of what felt like yelling into a crowded room, I gave up and focused on where I was getting traction, here on YouTube. The problem wasn't the platform. It was that Twitter didn't align with my strengths or my audience. And this happens to so many authors. All right, so this leads to our third failure, the one-size-fits-all approach. I can't tell you how many times I've heard advice like every author needs to be on Instagram or email marketing is the only way to sell books. But here's the truth. A memoir about overcoming addiction will need a completely different marketing approach than a business book about leadership. Your unique book deserves a tailored approach. The fourth major failure is the launch and forget approach. This is where authors pour all of their energy into a big launch. So they're doing blog tours, podcast interviews, social media blitz, and then nothing. They assume that their work is done once the book is out. But successful books aren't just launched, they're sustained. They continue to find new readers months and even years after publication. This isn't about maintaining a frantic pace forever. It's about having a sustainable, long-term strategy. And finally, we have the scattered presence failure. This happens when authors try to be everywhere at once, maintaining 5 social media platforms, a blog, a podcast, a newsletter, a website, and more. Let me share a quick story. I once worked with an author who came to me completely exhausted. She was spending over 30 hours a week managing 7 different platforms, yet seeing minimal results from all that effort. She was ready to give up completely on marketing her book. When we analyzed her situation using the book marketing triangle, we found that most of these platforms weren't actually connecting with her target readers. We narrowed her focus to just 2 platforms that actually reached her audience, and the result? Her marketing results improved while her time investment dropped by 70%. So, what works instead? This is where the book marketing triangle comes in. If you watch my previous video, you know the triangle consists of 3 essential elements: audience clarity, strategic visibility, and compelling message. I want to show you how this triangle serves as a powerful diagnostic tool for your marketing efforts. Think of the book marketing triangle as your marketing tool. When something isn't working, it helps you identify exactly where the breakdown is occurring. Is your audience definition too vague? Is your visibility strategy unfocused? Or is your message failing to connect? By identifying the weak point, you can make targeted improvements rather than overhauling everything. It's like having a check engine light that tells you exactly what needs fixing. Let me share how this has worked in practice. Over the years, I've had the privilege of working with some incredible authors, including a Hollywood film and television producer, a Grammy Award-winning music producer, and a well-known hip-hop artist who's also a politician. But some of my favorite success stories come from first-time authors. Sharon Beeson came to me at the very beginning of her author journey. Sharon was smart. She knew that planning her marketing from day one would set her up for success. We carefully analyzed her existing relationship with her audience and applied the book marketing triangle principles from the very start. The result? She achieved #1 Amazon bestseller status in her category. Another client, James Hill, implemented the strategies we developed together and, in his own words, 10x'd his ebook sales. These aren't isolated successes. They're examples of what happens when you apply strategic principles rather than random tactics. Now, I'm sharing these examples to illustrate that these principles work across different genres, different author platforms, and different types of books. The common factor? A strategic approach based on solid principles. So, let's talk about what actually works, starting with Principle 1, alignment. Effective book marketing requires alignment between 3 key elements: your specific book content, your target reader needs, and your personal strengths as an author. When these 3 elements align, marketing doesn't feel uncomfortable. It feels natural and authentic. I work with a nutrition author who was struggling with her marketing. She was forcing herself to create daily recipe videos because she thought that's what nutrition authors should do. But she hated being on camera, and when the camera was on, she felt stiff. Meanwhile, she was passionate about myth busting and had a gift for explaining complex science in simple terms. When we shifted her strategy to focus on what she loved, which was debunking nutrition myths, we did this through written content and simple graphics. Her engagement soared. The content was better aligned with her book's message and her personal strengths. Principle 2 is focus. In marketing, doing fewer things better consistently outperforms doing many things poorly. I'm going to say that again. Doing fewer things consistently outperforms doing many things poorly. So think of it this way. A magnifying glass can focus sunlight so intensely it starts a fire. But that same sunlight spread over a large area barely warms the surface. Your marketing energy works the same way. I advise my clients to choose 1 to 2 primary marketing channels, not 5 or 6. Master those channels, show up consistently, and become known for quality engagement there. Speaking of focus, I'm curious, which marketing channels have you found most effective for your book? Is it social media, email, in-person events, or something else entirely? Share it in the comments. I would love to know what's working for you. This leads directly to principle 3, consistency. Showing up regularly, even in small ways, is much more effective than occasional big marketing pushes followed by silence. Think about your favorite YouTubers or authors. You probably appreciate knowing when they'll post new content, right? Your audience feels the same way about you. But consistency doesn't mean you need to be everywhere all the time. It means being reliably present where your readers expect to find you. Principle 4 is authenticity. Being genuinely yourself helps you to stand out. Your readers can tell when you're using generic marketing phrases versus when you're speaking from your heart about your work. That genuine connection is what builds loyal readers. Your marketing voice should be a reflection of your personality. So if you've ever been a client of mine, then you know that how I show up on YouTube, in my books, in my emails, on my Zoom call, is all authentically who I am. I don't have a marketing persona separate from my real self. Some of the most successful author marketing I've seen looks nothing like traditional marketing. I had a client who initially thought she needed to sound very professional and formal in her social media posts. When she finally started sharing her natural enthusiasm and unique perspective on her topic, her engagement with her readers dramatically improved. And finally, principle 5 is strategic timing. Different marketing activities work better at different times in your publishing journey. So what this means is that building relationships with potential readers should start well before your book is finished. Getting reviews requires outreach several weeks before publication. Launch activities peak around your release date, and ongoing promotion keeps your book visible for months and years afterward. Understanding when to focus on what saves you from trying to do everything at once and burning out. Now, understanding these principles is one thing. Implementing them consistently is another challenge entirely. This knowing and doing gap is where most marketing efforts break down. You might know you need a clear audience definition, but actually defining that audience requires work. You might understand the importance of consistency, but maintaining it when results aren't immediate tests your commitment. The most common roadblocks I see include time limitations, so we're all juggling multiple responsibilities, technical learning curves, each platform has its own quirks, comfort zone challenges, marketing pushes many of us into unfamiliar territory, and then confusion about what's actually working. These challenges are real, and they're why many authors with good intentions still struggle with marketing. The solution isn't more willpower, it's creating simple systems. Think about it. Willpower runs out. We all know that feeling when we've been making decisions all day and just can't make one more. That's when our marketing usually falls to the bottom of the list. Systems help make marketing habitual. A simple content calendar, a template for your social media posts, or a checklist for your launch activities. These all reduce mental load. The authors I see succeeding aren't necessarily marketing geniuses. They've just built straightforward systems that help them show up consistently without having to reinvent the wheel every single day. So, where do you go from here? You have 3 main paths forward. Option 1 is to apply these principles on your own. This is certainly possible. I've seen authors do it successfully. It just requires time, patience, and a willingness to learn through trial and error, but the information is out there. Option 2 is to follow a proven system. This gives you a structured approach and typically yields faster results with less frustration. It's a middle path that provides guidance without requiring one-on-one support. Option 3 is to get personalized guidance through coaching or consulting. This typically produces the best results for your specific situation, but requires a more significant investment. Now, if you're like most of the authors I work with, you're probably thinking, Stephanie, I understand the principles now, but I still need help with the actual implementation. That's exactly why I've created something special to help you take it to the next step. I've developed a comprehensive masterclass called How to Create a Successful Book Marketing Plan that bridges the gap between understanding these principles and actually implementing them for your specific book. This isn't about vague advice. It's a practical step-by-step approach to creating your own customized marketing plan. We'll cover exactly how to identify your ideal readers, choose the right visibility channels, craft messaging that connects, and put it all together into a cohesive plan that works for your unique book. The link to learn more is in the description below, and because you watched this far, thank you. And I'm also including 2 special bonuses, my book marketing timeline and my ebook, How to Market Your First Book. Whether you join me for the masterclass or apply these principles on your own, I truly hope this video has helped you understand why most book marketing plans fail and what actually works instead. Your book deserves to find its readers, and with the right approach, it absolutely can. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video or perhaps in the masterclass.